This kind of case, I'm glad to say, doesn't often come to my court. An injunction has been asked against this man who was peacefully distributing handbills. A great deal of authority, a great deal of responsibility is placed in our police and in our judges. This authority can be misused. I'm glad that a system of civil rights has been established by our citizens to protect all individuals. An injunction would be a clear infringement of this man's rights under law. Mr. Clerk, dismiss the complaint for injunction in this cause for want of equity.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This honorable branch of the Circuit Court of Montgomery County is hereby adjourned. Your Honor. Yes, sir. Your Honor, these young people have been waiting to see you. They're from the high school.
Well, what can I do here?
Your Honor, I'm Harry Andrews, and this is Ellen Jackson.
How do you do?
How do you do?
This is Jeffrey Moore.
Hello, Jeff.
We're to make a report on civil rights, and, well, we'd like to talk to you about it.
Civil rights, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, get me my portfolio on civil rights, will you, Fred?
Yes.
Here, sit down, sit down. I saw you sitting in the courtroom this afternoon.
We were very interested in that last case, sir.
Because it concerns civil rights?
Well, yes, but,
Wait. Suppose you tell me just what are civil rights?
They include freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of conscience.
we know they're fundamental to our way of life.
And most of them are found in the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, sometimes referred to as the Bill of Rights. They say that we're entitled to such rights as life, liberty, property, fair trial, and citizenship, and a lot more, and that they can't be denied to anyone. And some of those rights are found in earlier documents, such as the Declaration of Independence.
And I guess you can find people trying to do something about them all through history.
Well, isn't there any more to it than that?
Well, let's see. In this portfolio, I keep a record of what I consider to be the most important aspects of our rights. Civil rights. Civil rights defend the individual. They are interrelated. They are defended by ensuring them to others.
Could you explain those, Judge Copeland?
Civil rights defend the individual. Now, just what does that mean? You know, individuals sometimes need protection from private groups or other individuals or even from a hostile majority, and sometimes from the government itself. Now, our rights are organized to provide protection where protection is most needed. Here, let me show you this. Freedom to speak, worship, print, and assemble. And freedom to petition the government when you think you've been wronged. And to bear arms. No forced quartering of soldiers or searches and seizures without a warrant. Your life, liberty, or property cannot be taken from you without due process of law. The right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. The right not to be tried again on the same charge once you've been acquitted. No excessive bail and fines or cruel and unusual punishments. And our Bill of Rights also mentions that any other rights not mentioned are reserved to the people or the states where they live.
Well, now, some of the later amendments had something to do with rights, too, didn't they?
Well, yes, they do. These are the original rights that make up our Bill of Rights. The others follow more or less from them.
Judge Copeland, what about the trial? You said it had something to do with civil rights.
Indeed it did. If you'll think back, you'll find that civil rights were at work in today's case. Mr. Smith charged that the defendant, Nixon, was causing a public disturbance by passing out election handbills on a street corner. Nixon appeared in court. Our law permits him to appear before a court with all reasonable speed. This is one of the important rights guaranteed to every citizen by the Constitution. Nixon protested that he was being denied the right of freedom of the press. As you know, I denied the complaint for injunction. But suppose that Nixon had been charged with violating a statute of this state dealing with the distribution of handbills. Suppose that we had tried Nixon for violating that law. Then still more civil rights would have come to his protection. Something called due process of law, which we might say includes being informed of the nature and cause of the charges, having the right to assistance of a lawyer to defend you, having the right to enjoy an open trial by an impartial jury, being confronted by witnesses against you and being allowed to present witnesses in your favor, and, should you be convicted, the right to appeal your case to a higher court. Civil rights defend the individual. We're so used to enjoying civil rights, we're likely to forget how it would be without them. Try and picture how this trial might be run in a country where there are no civil rights. What are the charges, officer?
This man was passing out election handbills and littering up the streets.
Trying to influence our elections, eh?
Your Honor, regarding elections, I think...
You are not allowed to think about things that are contrary to the public good.
But, Your Honor, I merely wanted to express my opinion.
The very idea of an individual expressing his opinion publicly about things related to elections. You not only expressed your thoughts, you put them in print.
Well, Your Honor, may I present witnesses?
Of course not.
May I ask for a trial by jury and a lawyer to defend me?
Certainly not. There is no defense. The court finds you guilty. Do you see what I mean? Without civil rights, your life, liberty, property could be taken away from you on a mere whim.
I'm glad that wasn't the way the trial actually took place.
Civil rights make that much difference?
Yes. Civil rights defend the individual. And here's another important point about them and about the trial you saw. Civil rights are interrelated. Now let's suppose again that Nixon were on trial for violating a state law. Now, of course, our aim would be to give a fair trial. After all, this is one of the man's civil rights. But how could it be given? Suppose the witness had not been allowed to talk. Or for that matter, suppose the lawyer were not allowed to speak freely in the man's defense. Could a fair trial have been achieved? No. The more you study civil rights, the more you will see that these rights depend upon one another. They are interrelated. Once you have gained one right, the others are more easily achieved.
Do you mean, Judge Copeland, that in order to pass out those handbills, this man had to have all these rights?
Of course, Ellen. And that's got to be in our report.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Even if it's true, the class won't understand it. No, I won't let you put it in.
Oh, that's...
Now, wait a minute here. Order in the court. What's this third point here?
Civil rights are defended by ensuring them to others. What does that mean?
Each of you, especially Jeff here, seems to want to deny the others the right to state their opinions in this report that you're writing. But don't you see, if one of you forces the others to be silent, there's a possibility that somebody stronger or with more authority will come along and force you to be silent. Did you ever think of that, Jeff? If we all agree that each one has equal rights to state his opinion, then that danger doesn't exist.
I see. By protecting the rights of other people, we're really protecting our own.
Exactly. That's why we must constantly be on guard. If we're to keep our civil rights in good working condition, we must work to understand, protect, and extend them.
Extend them, Judge Copeland?
Yes. Our civil rights are growing. We've already achieved some goals, but there's a great deal more to be gained and worth gaining. Think how often civil rights plays a part in your everyday lives. And ask yourself if you're helping to understand, protect, and broaden them. Do you always respect other people's right to have their own opinion, no matter how wrong it may seem? To get together with others and say what they think? To be able to write and print what they believe, even if you disagree with it? Do you always respect others' rights to property, liberty, life, the rights of every member of the community? These rights and many others need to be understood, protected, and extended to every citizen. And each one of us can play an important part in supporting these rights. Our civil rights are always in danger. We may lose them unless you and every good citizen takes an active part in guaranteeing them. Here's something you can do. Be informed. Remember the civil rights we have. Find out what these rights are. Know them. Recognize them. Know how they operate. Be vigilant. Learn how these rights may be protected and how they may be abused. Finally, discuss civil rights. Help to inform other people. For it is only by a mutual understanding and supporting of civil rights and enjoy their benefits.